Welcome to Thoughts for Growth, a 3 to 15 minute program to inspire, motivate, and or provoke you to see life differently. Brought to you by K-Wave 6 Radio every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Now, here's your host.
There's a better way, there's a better way. Take one step back and say there's a better way, there's a better way.
Hi, this is Kimberly Parrish, and this is my thought for growth. From 1967 until 1971, I lived in St. Louis, Missouri, in an area called Laclede Town. It was a fabulous place to grow up. Those were some of the best years of my childhood because of living in Laclede. We had people from all over the world living there, so I had friends from Burma, Spain, Saudi Arabia, and a lot of other places from around the world. So it really saddens me to see what's happening in Ferguson and in St. Louis with the riots and protests there and in other cities. I was watching videos on YouTube the other night, and I came across one about riots in St. Louis, with looting, homes being burned and destroyed, and people being killed. But it wasn't today in 2014. It was from 1917. I had never heard a thing about this race riot while I attended school in St. Louis. From Missouri, we moved to Oklahoma, and I was taught some of the Native American history of Oklahoma. A very small amount considering the wealth of Native American history that exists. When I was in school in Tulsa, I had heard about the race riots in 1921, but that part of Tulsa's history was made to seem as if it was just a minor protest, not the real destruction that actually happened. It was as if it was in the history books only because it had to be mentioned at all. Schools don't teach America's true history, the good, the bad, and the ugly, which we have an abundance of all three. I don't know how many other race riots there have been, or what cities there have been in our history, but I believe they should be discussed openly and sensibly, with respect for all opinions and thoughts, even if they're different than our own. I've always heard that people who don't remember their past are doomed to repeat it, and that's what we're doing, repeating the racial problems from the past. Sooner or later it rears its ugly head and boils over into riots, with people destroying things and unfortunately deaths. Eventually something happens to put a halt to the fighting and destruction for right then. It's never really solved though, just pushed under the rug again until the next time a group of people feel marginalized, whatever nationality that happens to be. All of them have had their moment in that spotlight. What are children that are seeing these riots and brutality learning? It's not love and peace, not coexistence, acceptance, or even tolerance of your fellow man. It's teaching them fear and hatred and mistrust. There's got to be a solution to this problem we keep facing time and time again without people resorting to violence. But we will never find that solution if we keep pushing the same problem under the rug until it gets big enough to explode again. How many more times do we have to keep repeating this cycle before we finally get tired of it and really search for solutions? We can't afford to wait for the government to do something to make the changes. The price of that could be our freedom. I believe there are more people in the world who want to get along than people who want division. More people who don't care about your skin color or where you came from than people who choose to continue to hate. We can't begin to heal as a nation until we begin to talk instead of fight. At the end of the day, we all want to go home and feel safe and secure and live without fear. You can be a part of the problem and continue the cycle, or be a part of the solution and healing. Which are you going to choose? Take time to speak to someone you wouldn't ordinarily talk to. Spend time trying to find some commonality. You might be surprised what that may turn out to be. I want to take a moment and give recognition to two men, Miguel Alvarez and Maurice Rowland, who went above and beyond what they are expected to do as part of their jobs. They got to their job at a residential care center one morning only to find a note on the door stating, "Closed for business." There were still 16 residents in the building, some with serious ailments such as dementia, with no one to care for them. No one showed up except for two men. One was a janitor, one was a cook. But they passed out meds, cleaned patients up and took care of them, and kept them from being alone and in danger. These men worked day and night taking care of these abandoned patients, instead of leaving them like everyone else had. The sheriff and the fire department showed up 3 days later to take over. The people who were in charge need to be prosecuted for abandoning the patients. Thank you, Miguel Alvarez and Maurice Rowland, for staying with those patients and taking care of them, even though it wasn't your responsibility. You're an amazing example of human kindness and compassion. That's my thought for growth. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's Thoughts for Growth episode. Keep up with what's new on K-Wave 6 Radio by following our blog, following us on Twitter, and liking us on Facebook. All available at www.kwave6, that's the number 6, radio.tk. Again, www.kwave6radio.tk, or if you prefer, www.kwave6radio.wordpress.com.